He called me a weak, useless Omega. He chose my sister to be his queen and left me to die in the cold. But Kael didn't know that my blood held a secret that would bring his entire pack to their knees. They thought they got rid of me, but in the heart of the Forbidden Woods, something ancient woke up. And when I return, I won't be looking for an apology, I'll be looking for a sacrifice. Stick around to see the moment the Alpha realizes he didn't just reject a mate, he rejected a goddess. Chapter 1. The Public Rejection. The night air was electric, thick with anticipation, pride, and power. Elara stood at the center of it all, and yet she had never felt more invisible. The pack ceremony was sacred, the moment every wolf waited for. Torches burned high against the dark sky, their flames dancing in the wind as members of the pack gathered in a wide circle. Elders stood cloaked in tradition. Warriors lined the edges like silent sentinels. And at the front, on the raised stone platform, stood Alpha Kael. Tall, untouchable, his presence alone commanded silence. Elara's heart pounded violently in her chest as her eyes locked onto him. This was it. The moment the moon goddess would reveal what she had always believed to be true. Her mate, her alpha, her future. She took a slow step forward, her breath trembling. But Kael didn't look at her. Not once. His gaze drifted past her, as if she didn't exist. A chill ran down her spine. Elara. Her name was spoken, not with warmth, not with reverence, but with something colder, detached. The murmurs in the crowd faded into silence. Kael finally turned toward her, his expression unreadable, but his eyes held no trace of the bond she felt burning inside her. Elara of the Silverfang bloodline, he continued, his voice carrying across the entire gathering. You stand before this pack, claiming a destiny that was never yours. The words hit like a physical blow. Her breath caught. Kael, I felt the bond. You did too. You have to. I felt nothing, he cut in sharply. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Elara's world tilted. Nothing. That couldn't be true. The pull between them, the way her wolf stirred whenever he was near, it was real. It had to be. Her gaze flickered desperately, searching his face for any sign, any crack in the cold mask he wore. But there was nothing. Only indifference. And then, a soft sound behind her. Footsteps. Elara turned slowly, and her heart shattered. Standing just a few steps away, radiant under the torchlight, dressed in silver and white, was her sister. Mia. Her older sister met her eyes, not with guilt, not with hesitation, but with quiet triumph. No. No, no, no. Elara, Mia said gently, though there was something sharp beneath the softness. You've always been mistaken about your place. The crowd stirred again, confusion building into whispers. Kael stepped down from the platform. Not toward Elara. Toward Mia. Every step he took felt like a dagger being driven deeper into Elara's chest. When he reached Mia, he took her hand, firmly, possessively, and raised it for all to see. This, Kael, his voice powerful and final, is my true Luna. Silence. Then chaos. The pack erupted into shock, disbelief, murmurs crashing into each other like waves. Elara couldn't breathe. Her ears rang. Her vision blurred. No, she whispered, shaking her head, her voice barely audible. That's not possible, she's my... Your sister, Kael finished coldly. Yes, and unlike you, she possesses strength, control, worth. Each word was deliberate, cruel, calculated. Elara staggered back as if struck. I've trained, she stammered, desperation clawing at her throat. I've done everything the pack asked, I've tried. Tried, Kael's lips curled faintly. This pack does not need someone who tries, it needs someone who is already strong. His gaze swept over her, dismissive. You are weak, Elara, an Omega in all but name, unfit to stand beside a king. The words echoed in her mind. Weak. Unfit. Omega. A lifetime of effort, erased in seconds. Her chest tightened painfully as her eyes shifted to Mia again. Her sister. Her blood. The one who had held her hand when they were children. The one who had promised they would always protect each other. Now standing at her mate's side. Taking everything. "Did you know?" Elara asked, her voice trembling, barely holding together. Mia didn't hesitate. Yes. The single word destroyed whatever fragile hope Elara had left. "I knew the bond would choose the strongest," Mia continued calmly, "and I knew it would never choose you." Elara flinched like she'd been slapped. "I didn't take anything from you," Mia added softly. "You simply never had it." Something inside Elara broke. Not loudly, not violently. Just silently. Like glass cracking under pressure, until it finally gave way. The bond she thought she shared with Kael, it twisted painfully in her chest, fraying, snapping. A sharp gasp tore from her lips as the rejection finalized. It felt like being ripped apart from the inside. The crowd watched. No one stepped forward. No one defended her. She was alone. Completely. Kael turned away first, already done with her, his attention returning to Mia as if Elara had ceased to exist entirely. "Prepare for the Luna Ascension," he ordered. Just like that. It was over. Elara stood there for a moment longer, trembling, her entire body numb. Then she laughed. Softly. Brokenly. The sound startled a few nearby wolves. She wiped at her tears, though they kept falling. "Of course," she whispered to herself, "of course it would be you." Her eyes lingered on Mia one last time, not with anger, not yet, but with something deeper. Betrayal. Raw, unforgiving. Then she turned. No dramatic exit, no final plea. Just quiet devastation. Each step she took away from the ceremony felt heavier than the last, the voices of the crowd fatting behind her. Her home. Her pack. Her family. Gone. Replaced by whispers of weakness and worthlessness. As she crossed the boundary of the pack grounds, the cold night air wrapped around her like a cruel embrace. She didn't stop walking. Didn't look back. But inside, her thoughts spiraled. She knew. All this time, she knew. Her sister hadn't just taken her place. She had waited for it. Planned for it. And Kael. Elara's hands clenched into fists at her sides. He didn't even hesitate. The bond might be broken. But the pain, that lingered. Deep. Burning. And as the forest loomed ahead, dark, silent, waiting, Elara took her first step into exile. Alone. Forgotten. But somewhere beneath the grief, beneath the shattered pieces of her heart, something stirred. Chapter 2. The Desolation and the Awakening. The forest did not welcome her. It swallowed her. Branches clawed at Elara's skin as she pushed deeper into the neutral territories, lands no pack claimed, no laws protected. The air here was different. Thicker, colder, as if even the wind had teeth. Hours passed, or maybe days. Time had lost meaning. Her feet bled. Her throat burned with thirst. The thin fabric of her dress did nothing against the biting cold creeping into her bones. Still she walked. Because stopping meant thinking. And thinking meant remembering. Kael's voice. "You are weak, unfit, and omega." Mia's eyes. "You never had it." Elara stumbled, collapsing to her knees as the ground beneath her shifted from soft earth to frozen stone. A hollow sound echoed through the forest. Silence followed. Too much silence. Her chest rose and fell rapidly as she clutched at it, her nails digging into her skin. "My wolf," she whispered. Nothing answered. No warmth. No instinct. No presence. The bond was gone, and with it, the fragile connection to the wolf inside her. Panic surged. No, no, please. Her voice cracked as tears spilled down her cheeks. Don't leave me too. But the emptiness remained. Cold, endless. It felt like something inside her was dying. Her body trembled violently as the temperature dropped further, frost forming along the edges of fallen leaves. The sky above darkened unnaturally, clouds swallowing what little light remained. Elara curled in on herself, her breath shallow. This is it. Not a warrior's death. Not even a dignified one. Just forgotten. Alone. A weak Omega dying, where no one would ever find her. A bitter laugh escaped her lips, barely audible. Maybe they were right. A low growl cut through the silence. Elara froze. Not hers. Not a wolf she recognized. Slowly, she lifted her head. Shapes moved between the trees. Eyes. Glowing, watching. Rogues. Thin, starved, feral. Drawn by weakness. Drawn by her. Her body refused to move at first, terror locking her in place as one stepped forward, its lips curling back to reveal jagged, blood-stained teeth. Another circled behind her. Then another. They were closing in. Her breath hitched. This is how it ends. No pack. No family. No mate. Just prey. The first rogue lunged. Time slowed. Elara squeezed her eyes shut. And then, thump. Her heart stuttered. Not the frantic, fragile rhythm from before. Something else. Thump. Deeper. Heavier. It didn't feel like her heart. It felt like something buried, waking up. The rogue froze mid-step, its ears flattening against its skull as a low whine escaped it. The others followed. Confusion flickered through Elara's fear. Her eyes snapped open. Thump. The ground beneath her trembled. Not violently, but enough. Enough to feel. Enough to notice. Her breath slowed. The pain in her chest shifted. What had been emptiness was now filling with something cold. Ancient. Unfamiliar. Her fingers pressed against the earth, and she felt it. A pulse. Not her own. Something beneath the ground. Something vast. The rogues began to back away. Whining now. Fear replacing hunger. Elara frowned, her brows knitting together as she slowly pushed herself upright. What? Her voice sounded different. Lower. Echoing faintly, as if something spoke with her, not just through her. A metallic tang filled the air. She inhaled sharply. It wasn't blood. It was her scent. Her eyes widened. Gone was the faint, submissive trace of Omega. In its place, something sharp. Heavy. Almost metallic. Like iron soaked in time. The forest reacted. Leaves rustled without wind. Branches creaked. The shadows themselves seemed to recoil. Thump. The heartbeat grew louder. Stronger. Not in her chest anymore. But everywhere. The rogue that had lunged earlier whimpered, lowering itself to the ground in submission. Submission. To her. Elara staggered slightly as a wave of sensation crashed over her. Memories that weren't hers, whispers she couldn't understand, power she couldn't contain. Her hands trembled as she stared at them. Something's wrong. No. Not wrong. Different. The cold that had once threatened to kill her no longer touched her. She couldn't feel it. Couldn't feel the pain the same way either. Everything was muted. Except that heartbeat. That ancient, relentless rhythm echoing through her veins. The last rogue turned and fled. Then another. Until the forest was empty again. Silent. But not peaceful. Never peaceful. Elara stood there, alone once more. But this time, it didn't feel like loneliness. It felt like anticipation. Her glowing eyes flickered faintly, just for a moment. A hint of gold breaking through the darkness. Her lips parted as a quiet realization settled in. My wolf isn't gone. Another thump answered her. Not a wolf. Something else entirely. Something older. Something that had been waiting. Waiting for her to break. Waiting for her to lose everything. Waiting to awaken. Elara slowly lifted her head, her gaze drifting deeper into the forbidden woods. And for the first time since the rejection, she didn't feel weak. She didn't feel like prey. She felt hungry. Chapter 3: The Legendary Transformation. The wind shifted violently through the neutral territories, snapping branches and bending tall grass as if the forest itself had begun to tremble in warning. Elara stood at the center of it all, still, waiting. Her glowing gaze was no longer uncertain or broken. It was steady now, locked onto the horizon where footsteps approached through the underbrush. Familiar footsteps. Her heart did not race. It simply acknowledged. Kael emerged first, his expression carved from authority and finality. Behind him, Mia followed closely, her posture calm but alert, as if she already knew how this would end. Kael's eyes narrowed the moment he saw her. You're still alive, he said coldly, glancing over her as though assessing something broken that had refused to stay broken. Mia stepped forward slightly, her voice soft but edged with disappointment. Elara, you should have stayed gone. This territory is no place for what you've become. Elara tilted her head slowly. What she had become. The words lingered in her mind, stirring something deep beneath her skin. Kael took another step forward, his alpha presence expanding instinctively, pressing down on her like an invisible weight. You were exiled, he said firmly. That means you are trespassing on pack lands. I am giving you one chance to leave before I end this myself. Silence followed. But it was not empty silence. It was heavy. Alive. Elara's eyes shifted between them. Kael. Mia. The faces that once defined her world now felt distant, almost irrelevant. You came here to finish what you started, she said quietly. Kael's jaw tightened. I came here to remove a threat. A faint, almost imperceptible smile touched Elara's lips. A threat, she repeated. The ground beneath her feet pulsed once. Then again. Mia's brows furrowed. Kael, something's wrong. For the first time, Kael hesitated. Not because of doubt. Because something in the air had changed. Pressure built. Not from him. Not from Mia. From her. Kael's alpha instinct flared violently, warning him before his mind could process what was happening. His body reacted before his pride could intervene, muscles tightening as an invisible force pressed against him. Elara, he said sharply, his voice carrying command, dominance, authority honed over years of leadership. Submit. The word should have crushed her. It should have broken what little remained of her will. But it didn't. Instead, the forest went still. Even the wind stopped moving. Elara exhaled slowly, and when she spoke again, her voice carried a resonance neither of them had ever heard before. I already did, she said. Then she took a step forward. The earth cracked beneath her foot. Kael's expression shifted instantly, confusion cutting through his dominance as the pressure around him increased. His breath caught in his throat as his alpha command failed to land. It didn't reach her. It didn't touch her. Mia instinctively stepped back. Kael, I can't feel her wolf anymore. Kael didn't respond. He couldn't. Because his body had begun to react against his will. His muscles locked. His instincts screamed something primal and absolute. Danger. Not the kind he was trained to face. Not rogue. Not rival alpha. Something beyond classification. Something ancient, Elara's body began to change. At first, it was subtle, a tremor running through her frame as light gathered beneath her skin. Then the pain hit. Not ordinary pain. The kind that rewrote existence. Her bones shifted violently, elongating and breaking before reforming with deep, echoing cracks that rolled through the forest like thunder trapped underground. Her breath turned into a growl that wasn't fully hers anymore, layered with something vast and ancient that spoke through her suffering. Her arms stretched, muscles expanding beyond human limitation as fur, white as untouched snow, but shimmering with a faint metallic glow, broke through her skin in waves. Kael took an involuntary step back, then stopped. Not because he chose to. Because he couldn't move forward. His legs refused to obey. His alpha authority shattered under something far greater pressing down on him, forcing instinct to replace thought. Elara's transformation surged upward. Her spine arched violently as her form expanded, growing larger, heavier, more imposing with each passing second. The forest floor groaned under the increasing weight of her presence, roots snapping beneath pressure as if the earth itself struggled to contain what was emerging. When it was over, silence returned. But it was not the same silence as before. It was reverent, terrified. Standing where Elara once was now towered a massive wolf, easily 5 times the size of any Alpha Kael had ever encountered. Its fur radiated an eerie white glow, edges flickering faintly like starlight trapped in motion. Its eyes burned with ancient gold intensity, not merely watching, but judging. Mia stumbled backward, her breath shaking. That's not a wolf. Kael tried to speak. To command. To assert control. But his voice refused to form. His throat tightened, not from fear alone, but from instinct overriding authority. Every alpha instinct he possessed screamed the same truth at once. Not pack leader. Not rival. Not prey. Something else. Something higher. His body locked completely as the creature's gaze shifted toward him. Kael felt it immediately. The pressure collapsed inward. His knees nearly buckled as an overwhelming aura pressed against him, not physically restraining him, but rewriting his perception of reality itself. His alpha identity fractured under it, replaced by something far more primitive. Survival. Submission. He could not move, could not speak, could not even breathe properly, because every instinct inside him had reached a singular conclusion. Standing before him was not a wolf. It was a force of nature wearing a shape. A god in flesh. Elara, no, what she had become, tilted her massive head slightly as she observed him, completely still, completely silent. And Kael, for the first time in his life, understood something terrifying with absolute clarity. He was not facing someone he had rejected. He was standing in the presence of something that had never needed his acceptance at all. Chapter 4, The New Reign. The massive white wolf stood motionless for a moment longer, its golden eyes locked onto Kael and Mia as if weighing something far beyond their understanding. The forest around them remained unnaturally still. No birds. No wind. No sound except the strained, uneven breathing of 2 alphas who had once believed they stood at the top of the world. Kael's body remained frozen, his instincts still trapped beneath an overwhelming pressure that refused to loosen its grip. Every attempt he made to reclaim control over himself dissolved the moment it began. His alpha authority, the very thing that had once defined him, now felt like a distant memory, small, fragile, irrelevant. Mia stood several steps behind him, her hands trembling slightly as she struggled to process what she was seeing. Her voice, when it finally came, was barely steady. "Elara, stop this, please." The white wolf did not react to the plea in the way either of them expected. There was no rage, no hunger for revenge, only silence. Then something shifted in its gaze. Not anger, not cruelty, pity, a quiet, almost sorrowful acknowledgement, as though Elara was looking at something beneath her concern entirely. Kael felt it before he fully understood it. Not judgment. Dismissal. The creature that once carried the name Elara lowered its head slightly, not in submission, but in final awareness, as if the situation itself no longer required further attention. Then it turned away. Slowly. Deliberately. Each step it took caused the ground to respond, faint cracks forming beneath its weight, not from aggression, but from sheer existence. Kael's breath hitched as the pressure around him finally loosened just enough for him to inhale properly again. His legs trembled the moment control began to return, but he did not move. He could not. Because something worse than fear had settled inside him. Realization. Mia whispered again, almost broken now, "She's leaving." But Kael was no longer listening to her. His eyes followed the massive white wolf as it moved deeper into the forest, its glowing form fading slightly with distance, yet never losing presence. The trees parted before it without resistance, as though the land itself recognized something it could not refuse. It was not running. It was not fleeing. It was ascending. Kael's jaw tightened as his mind replayed everything that had led to this moment. The rejection, the exile, the certainty he had carried when he called her weak. Weak. The word now felt like a lie he had told himself to survive the truth. His voice came out low, almost unrecognizable even to him. What was she? Mia did not answer immediately. When she finally spoke, her voice lacked its earlier confidence. I don't think she was ever just an omega. The forest swallowed the final trace of Elara's presence as she disappeared beyond the neutral lands, heading toward territories even Kael's pack rarely spoke of in full detail. The Lost Pack. A place spoken of only in warnings and old stories. A place where rejected bloodlines were said to disappear, or return changed beyond recognition. Kael took a slow step forward, then another, his movements unsteady as if his body still remembered submission even as his mind fought against it. His gaze dropped to the cracked earth where she had stood, where she had transformed, where she had become something no alpha had ever prepared him to face. And for the first time since his rise to power, Kael felt something cold and undeniable settle in his chest. Not loss, not regret, something far heavier. Irrelevance. His voice dropped to a whisper, almost lost in the wind that was finally returning. I chose wrong. Mia stiffened slightly, but he continued, his eyes still fixed on the path Elara had taken. I chose Aluna. A pause. His fingers curled slowly into a fist. And I lost a throne I didn't even know existed. In his mind, the image replayed again. Elara standing in her true form. Not as a rejected mate. Not as an exiled omega. But as something far older than any alpha title he had ever known. A first alpha. The realization struck him fully now, heavier than any command he had ever issued. He had not just rejected a mate. He had rejected the possibility of standing beside the origin of power itself. Kael finally looked up toward the darkened forest where she had vanished, his expression hollowing as understanding settled into something irreversible. Somewhere beyond the trees, beyond the borders of his authority, Elara was not running from him. She was walking toward something greater, toward a throne that did not require permission. And for the first time in his life, Kael understood a truth that no alpha training, no title, no pride could protect him from. He had once stood beside her equal. Now, even at his highest, he would never reach her again.